Quick capper on lunch, of course, is a great cup of coffee. And just a few days after Folgers Coffee cut its prices, another Java maker is now slashing its costs.
Can't you see how happy we would be?
George's was strong enough to blow this 18-wheeler right off the highway.
These fellas here are each about 45 pounds. I'm told at times they can be pretty aggressive. So is it the best idea to be inside here?
Wake up.
Yeah, I can dream, can I? It took me back to the good old days. I told you guys earlier today, I used to have one of these when I lived in Italy. I loved tooling around, especially when I had my girlfriend on the back. But you know, you can't feel too sexy if your socks are showing. I chose Uncommon Ground because it's hip and happening.
Hey, Joe, what do you know?
Rachel Ray's hip and happening.
That's enough for you?
Look at all the caffeine I've been drinking.
What a lightweight.
But I'm not.
As you heard Chris Habermill mention just a few moments ago, there is still some firefighting activity taking place inside the building.
I'm CBS 2's Vince Gerasole, and the acoustics here are good enough that an amateur like me can be heard all the way in the rafters. Ground Zero has become an emotional place for Americans, but it's also become a source of courage. Okay, don't worry, honey, because my grandfather was a barber. My family is like the thousands of others who've spent lazy afternoons here picking apples, but about the only apple you're going to find here on this property at this time of year is in the refrigerator. Still, these orchards are ripe with memories. Some call it the other Ground Zero, the Pennsylvania field behind me where Flight 93 crashed as crew members and passengers fought to take back the plane. Let's do 3, 2, 1 and taste it. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Now, what do you think of that?
Good.
Do you think we look silly in these antlers?
Kind of.
No! What is he doing? How many times has this happened?
But all these years later, he's still at it, repairing typewriters. CBS 2's Vince Gerasole found him hard at work inside Chicago.
Independent business machines, good morning. All the keys were frozen. Nothing would move on it.
It's easy to typecast Steve Kisbierski.
We're going to put this one back to life.
Both he and the machines he resurrects, the Remingtons, the Coronas, and the Royals, all reign supreme in a bygone era.
I've been repairing typewriters since 1956. I started for 85 cents an hour.
The staccato beat of metal keys against paper is now a fading solo, but the deafening chorus of hundreds of precious typewriters in America's offices was once high-tech.
We used to make 15 to 20 calls a day. And some of the ladies would not let me touch the typewriters because they wanted to know if I know what I'm doing.
But the arrival of the computer nearly spelled the end to Steve's profession.
Most guys retired, gave up.
Somehow, in a cramped North Side storefront, Steve kept on.
This is an Oliver from 1898.
Holding on in the process to some 150 typewriters for spare parts that are no longer made.
You cannot buy any parts for no money because it's not available.
It's before the eraser key.
His clients are now people who just can't get used to computers, professionals filling out printed contracts and forms, and collectors.
They have to have a typewriter, and I'm glad for it.
They seek him out from as far away as New York now for his touch that after all these years remains letter-proof.
Here's a page now from Steve's schooling. He spent 6 months when he first started taking typewriters apart, doing nothing else. And then guess what he did for the next 6 months? He put them back together, remembering where every single piece had to go. And he has been working with the keys to his success ever since. For 30 years, Jory Downer's gotten a rise out of bacon.
Fermentation, I think, is a very fascinating thing.
His is a sweet story of success.
We're all bread bakers at heart, regardless of whether you're making wedding cakes or cookies.
At Benison's, his corner bakery at Evanston, Jory mastered the touch with flour, yeast, and sugar that's now earned him a place in the upper crust of food service. As part of the three-man Team USA, he beat out 11 other international squads in the World Cup baking competition in Paris.
We knew France and Japan were going to be tough. We didn't know about Denmark. Denmark was going to be like the dark horse.
This is food as Olympic sport, and for a year, Jory trained with his teammates in San Francisco 5 days a month, perfecting their recipes and their timing.
I think that was the key to our success. You know, we had a plan. Good or bad, we had a plan.
Facing off in a stadium setting, the teams have just 8 hours to cook up 5 types of breads, dough sculptures, and sweets.
My responsibility was yeasted breakfast pastry. I had the viennoiserie category.
The winning entries included Jory's famous lemon blueberry tart.
I had to make 15 pieces that weighed between 60 and 100 grams. The trick is, whatever one wins, they all have to win. So that's the rub.
This champion is also a gifted coach, sharing his technique for proper croissant glazing.
Vince made a lot of progress today in his egg wash technique. You got to avoid the puddling though, because when the croissants get to the oven, there's excess eggs on that lamination. They're not going to open up the baking process.
Winning advice from the baker with the trophy in the window, now savoring an international victory.
It is especially sweet winning the Coup du Monde de la Boulangerie. Did I say that right? Okay.
That sounded pretty good.
Especially when you leave France in second place. By the way, the favorite flower of this Olympic-level champion? Gold medal.
Say hello to the music of Eric Muller. He's got the room swaying with a wave of his hands.
This is where all the electronic instruments started. The theremin. It's the granddaddy of all.
Life's now a cabaret act for this musical master from the north side of Chicago and his unique crowd-puzzling theremin.
They mostly come over and ask me, how does this thing work? And where do you find it? Where's it from?
Russian physicist Leon Theremin here invented the instrument in 1919 to interpret classical music, using electric circuits to produce tones. Hand motions near a horizontal antenna control volume, and near a vertical antenna control pitch. A shake adds vibrato. That ethereal sound captivated Hollywood in the 40s and 50s, where the theremin underscored B-grade drama and sent spaceships into orbit. It never quite caught on, but by the 60s, a modified theremin was giving the Beach Boys their good vibrations.
And I think anybody could play a theremin if they can hold a tune.
Make that almost anyone.
Pretty good.
But we gotta hand it to Eric. No one plays the theremin like a pro.
Ladies and gentlemen, the beautiful sounds of the theremin. Can you make that sound, guys? That's a wonderful sound to take out over to the bookstore where you can get your book at 1 minute past midnight. Reporting live from Diagon Alley in Oak Park, I'm Vince Gerasole, CBS 2.
There are moments in life that catch us by surprise. They teach us something and they cry out to be shared. Like this one that I learned about at the neighborhood school in Evanston.
At Pope John XXIII Elementary, Principal Rosalie Musiala passes a life lesson along to the teachers there.
Even the most saintly of parents will act irrationally and commit a sin if they feel their child's being threatened.
The words take root in Musiala's own roots in Sicily, where she was born the oldest daughter of a generous and religious woman named Grazia Bonadonna.
Bonadonna means good lady, and she really was. My family was very poor. We were commuter farmers, and I didn't have any toys.
But one day, Grazia Bonadonna scraped together enough money to buy Rosalie a red rubber ball.
I love that red rubber ball. I remember playing with it all day outside. This little girl who lived across the street, who'd probably been watching me all day with my ball, came up behind me and took my ball.
Rosalie's stolen red ball was never returned, and her family moved on to Chicago, taking with them an aluminum pasta pot that became a part of their American lives.
The pot was in the kitchen in the corner cabinet, and it was always filled with cookies.
The pot was still there 40 years later when Rosalie was at her dying mother's bedside, and the red ball bounced back into their lives.
She said to me, "Rosalie, I have to tell you about a sin that I've never confessed because I've never really been sorry." And I was just shocked because my mother was a saint. So she said to me, "Remember the red ball that little girl stole from you?"
Apparently, Grazia asked that girl's mother to return Rosalie's ball, but the woman denied it was stolen.
So before we left Ventimiglia, she stole her pasta pot.
Years Years later, you might say a mother's sin has turned into a daughter's blessing. A story to help others understand what parents will do for the children they love.
Now, this story doesn't end here. Last summer, Rosalie and her family returned to Sicily with 2 boxes of red rubber balls. And as Rosalie's son juggled them high in the town piazza, the descendants of Grazia Bonadonna brought this story full circle, and they passed them out to the town's children.
The call was for ladies only. And hundreds of female musicians came forward for the chance to back up Beyonce.
I want to travel with Beyonce.
The audition is not just about the music.
I'm really a headbanger. Even though I jump up and down, kind of sing, so.
These ladies must also have the moves to match the R&B diva center stage.
That's my fresh bass move. Like that.
These musicians, some who showed up as early as 7 a.m., had just 2 minutes to show Beyonce's music directors the many moves of their skills.
You get down there and it's good, but then the butterflies, start going.
Well, this opportunity here is rare.
Not just to audition for a national gig, but in a male-dominated field to have the spotlight exclusively on women. LaToya Gore came from Cincinnati just to be heard.
Filled up twice, $100 in gas.
Win or lose, get the part or don't get the part, and I love to play and I'll keep playing whether I jam with Beyonce or not.
She sure can work it out, can't she? Auditions continue through 9 tonight. Beyonce wasn't there, or I'd still be at the recording studios on the South Side. 200 auditioned in Chicago alone. There were also auditions in New York and Atlanta, and they could be backing up Beyonce as early as June 20th.
Wow.
And I think that's next Tuesday.
From tubular thrills to boogie board wipeouts, we're getting along swimmingly in a wintertime escape to Wisconsin Dells. But all this water also whets your appetite. And when you dry off, some affordable and unexpected dining options are a short drive away. Their burgers make Monk's Bar and Grill a classic.
Oh, yeah, you bet it does.
This sliver of a restaurant cooks up its patties at the window, drawing crowds in with the sweet smell of grilled onions. And don't forget Monk's deep-fried cheese curds. The Monk burger with Wisconsin cheese leaves some diners speechless.
Now, are you a big burger fan? You're just shaking your head, right? Because it's so good.
Right.
How about you?
That's huge. I have to can't get my mouth around it.
She gets too hungry.
With its oldies jukebox and cafe atmosphere, the Cheese Factory seems pure Dells. But in meat and potatoes territory, this is a vegetarian restaurant.
Who would have thought vegetarian restaurant in the Dells?
I know. I certainly wouldn't have.
But Chef Sage Louise is pleasing diners with sophisticated touches like a red pepper sauce on her black bean burrito. And you'd swear the Mediterranean omelet's crumbled Italian soy sausage was the real thing.
Good, huh?
Yeah, pretty good.
Tastes like the real thing almost, huh?
I'm Italian, I know, okay?
There you go.
The smiling moose outside lets you know you're in for family fun at Moose Jaw Pizza and Brewery.
Let's do 3, 2, 1, and taste it. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Now, what do you think of that?
Good.
Do you think we look silly in these antlers?
Kind of.
Who cares if we look silly? Whoa! We're on vacation.
Can you believe it? Someone stole my antlers. Now, for more information on Wisconsin Dells dining, just log on to our website.